like Lynn was saying, that native plants are very important to gardens, and that all insects really depend on native plants. Like, everybody's heard of the simple bumblebee, right? And everybody's like, support the bumblebees, but do you know that bumblebees are actually from Europe? They're not even native to our area. But the native plants can help bring out, like, native insects that are closer to our area. Like, has anybody heard of the American burrowing bee? No? Because do you know that almost, like, a lot of the bees, they actually burrow underground. So they're harder to find, and nobody really knows about them. So the native plants, they really, like, help bring them out, and people can learn about them. And they're very helpful to our ecosystem, too. As Lynn was also saying, that a youth Pollinator Pathways would be able to carry on what the whole Pollinator Pathways is doing. So, like, I'm in middle school right now, and I know a lot of children are really afraid of insects, and that's not a good thing because insects are really helpful to our ecosystem. Not only do they pollinate, they also eat, like, all of our natural garbage, and they even aerate the soil so trees can grow. So they're very, very, very crucial to the environment. So if kids are afraid, then what will happen? Well, what will happen is that when they grow up, that they will still be afraid all throughout their adulthood, and they will just stay afraid for their whole lives. But if you can, while the kids' minds are still growing, if you can, like, show them that insects really aren't scary, they're just misunderstood, then maybe things would change and people would be less afraid of insects and they would try to save them more. So, going back to the native plants are very important, but how do we incorporate them into our everyday gardens? So I have a website, two websites actually, livinggreenways.com and saveinsects.com. And one of the things that's on my website is, like, a way to save the insects, and it's creating a living greenway. So what is a living greenway? Well, a living greenway is basically an insect garden. It's an insect garden that has, like, a rainbow of native plants, is helpful to all insects, and can really help, like, grow, like, the insect population, because insects are right now on a 41% decline, and that's not good, so we have to increase them. So how do you do your own living greenway? Well, the first thing is you have to get almost like a rainbow of native plants. You don't want to get one native plant, because that's not good for all, like, different varieties of insects. You want to get lots of different native plants, like different varieties, and that can help, like all the insects grow. So then after you plant all your native plants, you should have, like, another section of the garden, which is all rocks, soil, dirt, and even, like Lynn was also saying, you can even use wood, like the old pieces of wood that fall off your trees. You put those in your insect garden, and as they rot, the insects come in and they, like, make their own homes in them, and you're really providing a home for all insects, not just like bees and butterflies, but also ants, beetles, and other insects that burrow in the soil and under the ground. So after you make your whole garden, after planting your native plants and making your rock garden, the way to, like, make sure that your garden is healthy and insect friendly is not to use pesticides or herbicides. Pesticides and herbicides are the cause of 1/8 of the insect decline annually, and they're not good for the ecosystem. Another thing that you don't want to do is lawnmowers, leaf blowers, not good. Like she was saying, the whole, like, all the insects, like the really microscopic ones, not even microscopic ones, their food, and even they're blown away, like, to places where they can't survive. Like, if you really, if you leaf blow right next to the street, all the insects will be blown into the street, and they're gonna die there because there's nothing to live off of. So if you avoid using lawnmowers, leaf blowers, and other things that could possibly hurt the insects, the living greenway will be safe and protective. So another thing is, how do you really get kids to be interested and, like, to make their own living greenways? Well, one way is to, like, use fun facts. Like, did anybody know that, like, a queen termite, they lay 40,000 eggs every day for 40 long years? Can you imagine doing that? Do you know how many children you would get from that? That would be a lot of children after a point of time. So, like, things like that really help, like, bring kids in, and, like, that's really what, like, engages all the children to be there. So my website, again, has, like, it's, like, very kid friendly. Like, it has, like, a lot of things that, like, will, like, that interest kids. Like, I have a whole fun facts page, and I even have an audio directory. So, like, you can listen to insects, you can see insects, you can learn about insects, and that's really what will help, like, change the mindsets of kids, so that they really want to learn more about insects.
Have you thought architectural awards because they did like it's more vegetable gardening. I think for a while, but like that would be an interesting project maybe for some of the.
Actually, I used to go to Ann Hutch, and I worked with the science director there, Mr. O'Neill, and we did like a lot of like gardening projects, and like there was something at Mercy College, and he like so we like did an insect garden there. And
Okay.
so like I've already worked with Ann Hutch because I used to go there.
Maybe
So like
Greenbelt.
yeah, I haven't worked with Greenbelt yet. So
I don't think they have it more.
okay, so I'll have to work with them, and I was just wondering.
No, I was asking my son if he remembered if they had it.
I don't think they do.
But they just said